Then Bill insisted that all of us listen to what Hazel had declared in her police report. Hold on to your chicken necks, okay? Hold on. Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about Jackson Family Values. Memories of Madness by Margaret Maldonado Jackson, who we lovingly call Peggy. Dawn went with us when we took a trip to New Jersey to visit Eddie Murphy at his estate, Bubble Hill. She was miserable, okay, Peggy. You know, this is her book, so everything gonna be about her. But she said she was miserable because she was squished in the limo to Bubble Hill between Jermaine, the little girl Dawn, Jackie, and Louis Farrakhan's son. What's his name? Wallace. At any rate, she in her feelings because it's a whole bunch of runway models running around Eddie Murphy house in skin tight dresses, and she feel like an old ham hock with cheese. And on top of that, what made her even more irritated was the fact that the little girl Dawn is saying the word daddy at every chance she gets. I'm not going all the way to the left. I'm just going a little bit to the left with this one. Why is she so jealous of the little girl calling Jermaine daddy? Like, it's making me uncomfortable. She talking about she uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable with the fact that you're jealous of a child. Watch that. Later that night, back in our hotel room, I lost it. I told Jermaine the time had come to put a stop to the humiliation. I said I didn't care if he wanted to send her money, but there was no way I was going to stand for this virtual stranger continually calling him daddy. Why are you so jealous of a child? And as far as I know, the child known him longer than you know him. You may be the baby mammy, but if the little girl is 11 or 12, that means that Jermaine has been a part of her life for 11 to 12 years. Baby, you just got there a couple of years ago. At that point, Dawn came in. She walked over to Jermaine and put her arms around him. He looked at me and said, "No one else knows, Peggy, but Dawn really is my daughter. I had an affair with her mother years ago. I didn't know whether to cry or burst out laughing. I told him that I didn't believe him, that she didn't even look like him. Dawn said, well, what's the difference anyway? It all happened before he knew you. I mean, stay in a child's place. Absolutely. But I'm saying, what's the problem? I was so angry I called Catherine in California. I needed someone with some common sense to talk to. I deserved at least that. I had dealt with a soon-to-be ex-wife, young children, attorneys, managers, Latoya's naked pictures, Joseph's extramarital affairs, and Michael's chimpanzee. But this was way too much. Hold on. I had dealt with the soon-to-be... wait a minute. Peggy, it sounds like you, Catherine. How are you dealing with Joseph's extramarital affairs? Is he cheating on you? It say Joseph right there. It say Joseph. Is Joseph cheating on you? And goddamn, what do you mean? Michael's chimpanzee. Did the monkey attack you? Catherine was, as usual, the voice of reason. Don't worry about it, Margaret, she told me. There's no way that girl could be Jermaine's daughter without my knowledge. Forget it. It'll blow over. She was right. The girl went back to Atlanta, and the calls from her mother became less frequent, at least for a while. Is Dawn actually Jermaine's daughter? I guess I'll never know for sure. Is Dawn actually Jermaine's daughter? I guess I'll never know for sure. Back at Havenhurst, Catherine was increasing the pressure on Michael to perform in Korea. Joseph wisely had headed to the house in Las Vegas and was staying out of sight. Jermaine was busy continuing to record 2300 Jackson Street when, in August 1988, an article in People magazine told the world about my pregnancy. Jermaine brought the magazine home to show to Jermaine Jr. and Autumn, who had come to Havenhurst for a visit. At the end of the day, their father put them in the car and left to return them to Hazel. By this time, she was living in a large house her father had gotten for her. That evening, Jermaine and I had planned on going out to dinner with my stepfather, Cy. I was excited about seeing him again. After a while, though, I became nervous because Jermaine was late in getting back home. Then the telephone rang. It was Hazel. Jermaine was just here, and he tried to grate me, she said, her voice shaking. What? Was all I could say. I was unwillingly and unable to grasp what I was hearing. I'm not lying, Peggy. People who know me know that I do not lie. And if you don't believe me, look at Jermaine's arm. I bit it, she added. After a long pause, I told Hazel that if what she was saying was true, she should call the police and report it. She did just that. Pause. Let me tell you something. If a woman ever called me and said that my wife was inappropriate to her, don't call me with the bullshit. Call the police, okay? Because number one, if it's true, the bitch deserve it, okay? And if not, I'm going to stand by her. But I don't need you to cause the discord in my household on some bullshit. And if my wife was old DDMF like Jermaine Jackson, I would want that hussy to be appropriately dealt with, okay? So on that one, Peggy, I got much respect for you with that one, because I would, after a long pause, I told Hazel that if what she was saying was true, she should call the police and report it. She did just that. I didn't want to believe Hazel. I didn't want to believe that JJ could attempt to grape his former wife, then go out to dinner with my stepfather and me as if nothing had happened. Why not? Some men, especially men that are not quite centered, believe that once I put a child in you, you belong to me forever. Hell, I didn't have men think that I belonged to them just because they had me and laid me down. Let me tell you a story. So anyway, I had got back in contact with this dude who I was in love with as a teenager, right? And he had told me that he was in his feelings because I was messing with this other dude. First of all, I didn't know that y'all two was friends. He ain't never come to my house and said, hey, you messing with I didn't know. So how would I know? I didn't know that, even though most uptown dudes know each other, but I mean, uptown dudes, a lot of them kill each other too. He told me that he had snuck around my house one day. Okay, so that's a problem to me. Number one, that you coming around my house without calling me first. But he said when he snuck around my house, he had seen the dude that he knew leaving. He asked him, who you around here to see? He was like, Nay. I'm around here to see Nay. First of all, I ain't seen dude number one in forever. I don't understand why you creeping around here. I ain't even heard from you. But in his mind, I belong to him. How? I asked you to be my boyfriend and you said no. You said that because I still was in our mammy house that you did not want me. Nigga, I was in college. And I was still a mommy's baby. I wasn't ready to fly out on my own and spread my wings yet. Okay? I wasn't ready to take care of no nigga. In his mind, he held that against me for years because I was his. How? I asked you to be my boyfriend and you said no. When Jermaine pulled into the driveway, I didn't know what to expect. I told him about Hazel's call as calmly as possible. I would have been shaking. You hear me? My voice would have been, I probably would have had tears, anger, hurt, just unbelievability, all kinds of stuff in my brain. Because that's a hard pill to swallow. For another woman to call you your baby father and say, oh, your baby father tried to grape me. Jermaine denied it. He said Hazel was jealous because she had read about my pregnancy and just wanted to upset me. I looked at Jermaine's arm and his clothes. I could see no bite mark or any other sign of a struggle. Still, Hazel was so convincing on the phone that I wasn't completely buying his denial. One of them was lying, and I didn't know whom. Unfortunately, the charges didn't go away that easily. A couple of days later, the police did show up at Havenhurst and took a statement from Jermaine. I was emotionally exhausted by the whole thing and hoped it would go away. Not when you call the police. Answer no. And that's whose daughter? Bird the Gordy's daughter? And in fact, you might be lucky that Bird the Gordy didn't handle it himself. Because we know Bird the Gordy got goons. Very bed bug bites got goons. When the divorce became final in November, I expected that Jermaine and I would get married. I waited for him to bring up the subject and half expected a surprise engagement ring. It never happened. When I broached the issue, he told me to be patient. He was busy trying to finalize the settlement with Hazel over their property and child support. He said, to the world, Jermaine Jackson was a rich man. In private, however, he was being hounded by creditors and owed an enormous amount in taxes. Jermaine was growing more and more content to live off of his brother Michael. He didn't ask for money, but Michael paid all the bills at Havenhurst. Okay? Even down to the gardener, the pool guy, the grocery lady, the cook, the chef, the babysitter, everything. And Jermaine is good with that. This dude named Howard Grossman. And what's her name? Peggy had sat down with Jermaine and said, Jermaine, you need to seriously consider bankruptcy. Okay, because you ain't got no money. Number two, you need to stop faking like you do got money. During the course of a later meeting at the office of Bill Glucksman, the attorney who was handling Jermaine's divorce settlement, Bill suggested to Jermaine that they pursue the idea of making a declaration of bankruptcy. To Jermaine, who had already agreed to make a $200,000 settlement to Hazel, the sound of bankruptcy was music to his ears. Then Bill insisted that all of us listen to what Hazel had declared in her police report. Hold on to your chicken necks, okay? Hold on. JJ tried to dissuade him, and I backed him up, but Bill held firm. By this time, I was 8 months pregnant and didn't need to get upset over the particular issue again. He read it anyway. Sometimes people are trying to warn you, girl. This lawyer was trying to warn you and let you know, girl, this is what you want. This is your baby father, girl. Your baby father did this. According to Hazel, while Jermaine was driving the kids home that day, he told them that he wanted to have another baby with their mother. Believable. Because when baby fathers get upset about the child support, all they want to do is dive back into the baby mama's vagina / good graces so that they can come up off of that child support. He told the kids that when they got home, they should go to their rooms so he could speak to Hazel about it. If they heard any shouting, he said, they should just ignore it, would only be mom and dad playing. When Jermaine found Hazel, he threw her on the bed, pushed up her skirt, and tried to rip off her underwear. Hazel screamed for Jermaine Jr. and Autumn, but neither of them came. What my concern is, don't scream for the children, okay? Don't bring the children in. Now, I know on one side of your brain, you like, maybe he'll stop if his children come in the room. But on the other hand, I would be thinking this is a mad, crazed maniac, and I don't want my children to see this or be traumatized by this, okay? What would you guys do in that situation? Would you scream for your children, or would you try to handle the situation by yourself? Let me know. After Bill read the deposition, Jermaine was outraged. The attorney was embarrassed. I was sick. I couldn't understand how Hazel could be so graphic and involve her children if, as Jermaine said, there was no truth to the story. As a mother, I couldn't believe any woman would do that simply out of spite. I knew Hazel had been telling the truth, if not the whole truth, at least a good part of it. In the end, the charges against Jermaine were thrown out on a technicality. Jermaine never brought up the issue again, nor did he ever declare bankruptcy. The bankruptcy discussion, however, did prove fateful as far as any marriage plans were concerned. Grossman advised me against marrying him at that point because of his enormous tax liability. That dude Grossman, he your friend. He your friend. I hope you send his ass a Christmas card every December. Okay, because the ninja is putting all the red flags up for you, girl. It's up to you to just take it and wave it. Since Jermaine was about to go on tour again, it was suggested that he route his income through me. The matter was handled by setting up a corporation called Margaret Tours, Inc. and naming me as the president. I suddenly found myself the conduit for all of Jermaine's funds. Ain't that what the drug dealers do? I mean, okay. Jermaine was not the only one in the family with money problems, but his were the most pressing. Tito and his wife Dee Dee at least still had their home in Encino. Marlon and Carl had their home near Tito's house. Jackie and Enid had divorced, and Enid had gotten the $200,000 settlement. Jackie had moved into a condo. Randy was still in his condo on Wilshire and riding around on his Harley. The brothers' problem wasn't one of current cash flow, but rather future cash flow. More was going out than what was coming in. Each of their solo albums went nowhere, and ultimately that was the same place the last Jackson album, 2300 Jackson Street, was headed. Without Michael or Janet's help, I knew the others were going to need a new source of revenue soon. It was then that the idea of a miniseries came to me.